me to have that on.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome. I'm Rabbi Javier Carapan, and I am joined this morning by Leslie Zucker, and we also have Dave in the back, making sure that you can all watch us remotely. And today we are in a different space. You can see we are out in our ulam, which that's a Hebrew word for hall. So it's where we gather sometimes. We get a nice, so I was thinking when we're indoors, in the sanctuary, you get a good view. Well, you get to see us, but actually you see a good view of the outdoors, because you can see the windows. Well, when we sit in there, we only see you, which is very nice, but we don't get to see the outdoors like that. And so, but today is kind of like, it's more airy.
I can see it through there, and I can see it out there.
Yes.
I see trees. It's really nice.
Yes, it's different.
About seeing trees? Oh.
Or about what we see that you don't, it's this different perspective. So, and we like it in the round, so you can all see each other as well.
Yeah.
So, welcome. So we're calling pages in the square brackets. And if you have any kind of electronic device that may make sounds, if you please silence them, we'll appreciate that. And we continue together with Modeh Ani on page 186.
Ani lefanecha, melech chai v'kayam, שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, רבה אמונתך, רבה אמונתך. מודה אני לפניך, מלך חי וקיים, שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה, בחמלה.
Page 195, we join together at the top of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. 196.
Elohai neshama shenatata
We continue on page 198 in the blue book, the Siddur.
In the
We are-
brackets. In the blue book, in the brackets. Oh, that's those both start with B. Blue book, brackets. Sorry. I might need a nap.
It's become our tradition to chant the blessings for our daily miracles, to alternate between one side and the other, if you would like to, although you can cross the aisle anytime you want.
Or sing them all.
Or sing them all. And also, we at least try to do each one in one breath, and it helps us center as we gather together for Shabbat. So, page 198.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lesech vivina lehavchin ben yom uven laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivri.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir hasurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokach haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam anoten layahef koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir sheina meinai utnuma me'afapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bar chorim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam uzer Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Page 204, at the top of the page, we will recite the blessing for studying Torah. And immediately after that, we'll go to page 206. And that's our Torah text. We're supposed to study Torah every day. And this is the way that the rabbis, the ancient rabbis, thought it would be practical. Every service you go, you get a little study, and then you're covered. So you study Torah every day. That's how it works. And the text is on page 206. And it's, we say study Torah, but that text is not from the Torah, strictly speaking. It's from the rabbinic literature, from the Mishnah. But that's all considered as Torah. Yes, Torah. So we just go 04 and then 06. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah.
אלו דברים שלהם שיעור, אלו דברים שלהם שיעור, אלו דברים שלהם שיעור באלוהים. כיבוד אב ואם וגמילות חסדים, והשכמת בית המדרש שחרית וערבית. אלו דברים שלהם שיעור, אלו דברים שלהם שיעור, אלו דברים שלהם שיעור באלוהים. בהכנסת אורחים וביקור חולים, בהכנסת כלה ולוויית המת, בעיון תפילה, בעיון תפילה, באהבת שלום בין אדם לחברו, בתלמוד תורה כנגד כולם, בתלמוד
בתורה כנגד כולם.
תלמוד תורה כנגד כולם.
אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, ואלו הם.
Page 218, we come to the end of our Pezukei de Zimbra, our songs of praise, singing from Psalm 150, Hallelujah.
Sorry,
You're fine, no, please. I want you to be comfortable.
just want to be, so I don't have to turn around to look at you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you can see.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Service continues on page 226. If you're able, please stand and join us as we face towards the ark.
Yai, lai, lai, lai.
Yai, lai, lai, lai.
Yai, lai, 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 lai.
Yai, lai, 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 lai.
Yai, lai, 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 lai.
Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai.
Barechu
Barechu
et Adonai.
et Adonai.
Mevorach.
Mevorach.
Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Adonai.
Mevorach.
Mevorach.
Leolam.
Leolam.
We continue together on page 228. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness, your daily new creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai, our God, for the excellent work of your hands and for the lights you created. May they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Page 232.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה
אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו מה עשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Emet. We continue on page 239 at the top of the page. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire and black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. 240.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נזר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה, שירה חדשה, שיפור גאולים. לשירך אספת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה, אוסף אלה. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדה חיומך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. אדוני שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחלחל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
We continue in the middle of page 248. Let us sanctify your name on earth as it is sanctified in the heavens above, as it is written by your prophet, Holy, holy, holy is Adonai Tzvaot. God's presence fills the whole earth. Source of strength, sovereign one, how majestic is your presence in all the earth. Blessed is the presence of God, shining forth from where God dwells. God alone is our God and our Creator, our ruler and our helper, and in mercy God is revealed in the sight of all the living. I am Adonai, your God. Adonai shall reign forever, your God, O Zion, from generation to generation. Hallelujah.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גאול לך. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גאול לך.
ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד.
Baruch Ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue our Amidah silently through page 260, and when you conclude, you may return to your seats.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי, בגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני
Service continues with the service for the reading of the Torah on page 367.
Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachvu
kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'ar kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'ar kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'ar kodesho.
All of my, I want to say troublemakers.
In one corner here. No, we meant
Sharing
to
the joy.
We meant to be.
Oh, you meant to be troublemakers.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
This is the troublemaker side of the congregation this morning. I think no one's surprised when they see who's sitting over here.
So this morning we will be reading the Haftarah section, and it's not good when the rabbi says, before I say a few words, let me say a few words. But I'm going to say a few words before I say a few words, because I think that, we go through the cycle of Torah reading every year, and we also have a section from the prophets attached to it, and that's the Haftarah. And oftentimes, actually, 90% of the times or so, there is a connection between the Torah portion and the Haftarah that is thematic. The example that everybody gives, the commonplace would be if the Torah talks about the building of the temple or the tabernacle, the Haftarah will be the actual building of the temple in the time of King Solomon. That is true except for 10 Shabbatot a year. And today is one of them. So beginning last Shabbat, we read sections from the prophets that are called the 7 Haftarot of consolation. Now, the passage that we're reading today is the second of the 7, and in Hebrew they're called Shiv'ah de Nehemata, which, of course, the second word is not in Hebrew but in Aramaic, but be it as it may. And they all announce some kind of redemption in the future for the Jewish people. All the sections come from the book of Isaiah, beginning in chapter 40. And chapter 40 is a very famous chapter around Christmas time. You know the answer. Handel's Messiah begins with verse 1, Isaiah chapter 40, "Comfort ye my people, and speak unto the cities of Judah." I can sing it for you, but I'm not going to put you through that. Well, there are only 2 tenor arias in the entire Messiah, and that's one of them. So I don't take any issue with Handel, but he only wrote 2 for the tenors solo. Anyways, I thought it'd be odd, though, for the rabbi to sing the opening arias of the Messiah, but I will take it if anybody invited me. And the 7 Haftarot of consolation are recited on the 7 Shabbatot that follow Tisha B'Av. And Tisha B'Av was a couple weeks ago. It was on Shabbat, and they all talk about what happened in the future, because as you may recall, Tisha B'Av is the fast day that marks the destruction of the first and second temples. Now, the 7 Haftarot of consolation have followed 3 Haftarot of admonition that came the 3 Shabbatot before the Shabbat of Tisha B'Av. So we have 7 and 3. That makes 10. Now, in 7 weeks from Tisha B'Av is Rosh Hashanah. It's coming around. And the synagogue calendar really progresses. And then there is one more special Haftarah after the 10th, which is, anybody? Shabbat Shuvah. Very good, right? Because Shabbat Shuvah is a Shabbat between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and that Shabbat has its own separate Haftarah, which surprisingly enough begins with the words Shuva Israel ad Adonai Elohecha, return, O Israel, and that's why it's called Shabbat Shuvah. We're not very original in the Jewish tradition. Well, that's true. I mean, every Torah portion is named after kind of the first word, so it's not about the theme. So we have really a cycle of special haftarot in this period, and none of the haftarot are related at all to the Torah portion. So I can't tell you anything. There's no connection between what we're reading today and the Torah portion. Torah portion this week is Ekev. It's about Moses speaking to the people in the desert, saying goodbye. The Haftarah, I'll tell you in a minute, nothing to do with that. So what's going on in this Haftarah? So this Haftarah comes from the book of Isaiah, as I said, and it is a selection that the rabbis came up with from different parts of the book of Isaiah. And the main thrust is that contextually, the people are now in exile. This is the time of Isaiah. Happens during the first destruction of the temple in the year 586 before the Common Era. And after that, the Jewish people, the majority of the Jewish people, there are few remaining in the land of Israel, but they are now living in Babylon. Psalm 137, again, I'm not going to sing for you by the rivers of Babylon. There we sat down and there we wept as we remember Zion. So, but that is what's going on. And so, as you can imagine, the mood of the people is not very joyous. They basically have a feeling of dejection, and they're probably depressed. They didn't know what it was, but it was probably they were depressed. And the decades of oppression really have taken a toll on the people. And this is a central question that all the Haftarot of consolation try to answer. The question is, has God totally forgotten the Jewish people? In a nutshell, Isaiah's answer is, heck, no way. But he does it in a more poetic way. The prophet, I didn't say this at the beginning, but most scholars believe that there are two different people that wrote the book of Isaiah. And they're called, again, I'm going to be original. First Isaiah and second Isaiah. You know what's coming. So the first Isaiah lived during the destruction of the temple. The second Isaiah, as a different person, lived a little longer after that and in Babylon. So this is written most likely outside of the land of Israel, in Babylon. And the uniqueness of this week's Torah portion, Haftarah, is that unlike what we're most common, what more used to think about God as a man, as a king, as a father, for high holidays we have Avinu Malkeinu, our father, our king. This Haftarah is unique because God is imagined as a mother. We have the image really of a mother, and precisely Isaiah asked the question, would a mother abandon her children? Will she forget about them? And this is really a unique thing that appears for the first time, and not only, but just one of the very few places where God is portrayed as a mother, and it is a metaphor that the prophet uses. Rabbi Salkin, who wrote a commentary on the Haftarah, thinks of the words that Isaiah is proclaiming to the people as a sort of pep talk. And this is really what I think we should, when we hear the story and the metaphors that Isaiah uses, the main idea is that in order to have a future, the people must remember their past. And what that means in this case is that the pep talk is not so much about you can do this, but you can do this because you've done this before. The people were able to, be together in one place. They were able to have, Jerusalem, the temple, all the things that they are longing for. And Isaiah says, you can do this. And the role models that Isaiah uses, which is kind of odd, are not, recent models that people might remember in the, 4th, 3rd century. But he goes back all the way to Abraham and Sarah. Now, this is interesting why he goes back to Abraham and Sarah. The great medieval commentator Rashi, who lived in the 11th century in northeast France today will be, teaches, because Abraham was alone when he came forth from his homeland and from his father's house. And you're like, what? How is this connected to the Jews in exile? Now, you have to remember, where was Abraham from? Abraham was from the city of Ur, which is the same as Babylon. So after all, we had Abraham to thank, basically. The place where the Jews were sent into exile is the same place to where everything started. And if Abraham and Sarah could leave Ur, start from nothing, which means really in Isaiah's mind to leave Babylon and go to the land of Israel, so could the Jews again in the generations of the exile go back. And that's why Isaiah suggests, well, you've done it in the past. It's not you, this generation, but you as a people. And he's thinking, Abraham was all alone. He had nothing, and he knew to leave the land of the Babylonians and go to the land of Israel. So Isaiah encourages all of us, and the people there, but us to go back in time and continue to have Abraham and Sarah, because Abraham didn't do this alone, as a source of courage for the future. And I have to explain all that because I think when we read some of these texts, they're so poetic, it's kind of, we get lost. I get lost, and I would imagine that most people do, because they're not, he doesn't say this straight, like in prose will be, this is a kind of a poem, so it's very allegorical, metaphorical, and so. But there is theology behind it and a way of looking at life and at history. So if you would like to join us in the reading of the blessings before the Haftarah, you can find that on the Siddur, on the Blue Book, on page 372. Now, this will require a little switching back and forth, because if you would like to follow along the reading itself of the Haftarah, that's in the red book, and that is on page 1599. I'll give you a minute or half a minute to settle in. I know it's
1599, the red book.
in the brackets. And I'm also warning you, I'm skipping pieces because the rabbis did this intentionally. There's some sections in the middle of the chapter that it gets very depressing. So the so the rabbis took it out and they went to the end where it's kind of a hopeful. And many of these verses, by the way, are super common names like Mivakshei Shalom, Rodfei Shalom, Rodef Shalom. They're all congregations all over the world have names after the book of Isaiah. So I always thought maybe I should do a class one day about synagogue names around the world and their meanings, and then you'll see this fun to see where they get their names. And they all are biblical names somehow. Ours is not.
Well, it has the word Torah in it.
Yeah, but it's not. There isn't a place called Beth Torah, but there is a place called Beth El, and the word Emmanuel appears in the in the Hebrew Bible, but the word Beth Torah, Beit Torah, it's not there. But we're modern. So page 372. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratza v'divreihem הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ותאמר ציון עזבני אדוני ואדוני שכחני. אשתכח אישה עולה מרחם בן בטנה. גם אלה תשכחנה ואנוכי לא אשכחך. הם על כפיים הכותיך חומותייך נגדי תמיד. Zion says, the Lord has forsaken me, my Lord has forgotten me. Can a woman forget her baby or disown her child, the child of her womb? Though she might forget, I never could forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. Swiftly your children are coming. Those who ravaged and ruined you shall leave you. Look up all around you and see. They are all assembled, are come to you. As I live, declares Adonai, you shall don them all like jewels. Deck yourself with the like of a bride. As for your ruins and desolate places and your land laid waste, you shall soon be crowded with settlers. While destroyers stay far from you, the children you thought you had lost shall yet say in their hearing, the place is too crowded for me. Make room for me to settle. And you will say to yourselves, who bore this to me? When I was bereaved and barren, exile and disdain, by whom then were these reared? I was left all alone. And where have these been? Thus said Adonai God, I will raise my hand to nations and lift up my ensign to peoples, and they shall bring your sons in their bosoms and carry your daughters on their backs. Kings shall tend your children. Their queens shall serve you as nurses. They shall bow to you face to the ground and lick the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Adonai. Those who trust in me shall not be ashamed. Shimu Elai Rotfei Tzedek Mevakshei Adonai. Havitu et tzur chutzavtam ve'al mekaver beyom nekamam. Vehivitu el Avraham avihem ve'el Sarah תחוללכם, כי אחד כרתיו, ועברכהו, וערבהו. Listen to me, you who pursue justice, you who seek Adonai. Look to the rock you were hewn from, to the quarry you were dug from. Look back to Abraham, your father, and to Sarah, who brought you forth. For he was only one when I called him, but I blessed him and made him many. Truly, Adonai has comforted Zion, comforted all her ruins. He has made her wilderness like Eden, God, her desert like the garden of Adonai. Gladness and joy shall abide there, thanksgiving and sounds of music. We're back on page 372. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת, על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך, בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. As we gather on this Shabbat, we turn our thoughts to those in need of healing. If you'd like to offer a name, you can type them in the comments or mention them as I go around our circle here. Anybody? Thank you. Aviva Simons. As we think of those in need of healing, page 371. As we think of those in need of healing, we add a special prayer for those suffering from addiction and mental struggles. May the one who blessed our ancestors bring blessings of strength, compassion, and healing to those of us who struggle with the oppression of addiction, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Surround them with loving kindness, grace, companionship, and peace.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Before we continue, I just want to show everybody, Leslie on the broadcast, she looks like she has her own internal divine light over her. Look at that.
I might. You don't know.
Yes, she is enlightened, and the rest of us are in the dark. Which reminds me, Isaiah, the people that walk in darkness shall see a great light.
Okay, maybe that was a little too much. A mediocre light. It's just a medium light.
It is. It's just still chapter 40. So we're Rod.
A halo from the sun. Yeah.
Page 374, we conclude the service for the reading of the Torah and Haftarah with Etz Chaim.
Etz Chaim hi lamachzikim na v'tomchei me'ushar derachea darchei noam v'chol tzivoteh shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Service continues on page 586 with Aleinu L'Shabech. If you're able, please stand and join us.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishbechot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim umishachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Separation seems more than we can bear. But if we dwell too long on our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God. In truth, grief is a great teacher. When it sends us back to serve and bless the living, we learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silent in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wished to live. We remember them now. They live in our hearts. They are an abiding blessing. We're observing the Shloshim period for Jack Shames, father of Cindy Shames. And on this Shabbat, we remember the following yortzites of members of our congregation: Jeannie Bellotti, Jack Belmont, Faye Ginson, Gilbert Greenwald, Ida Kaplan, Ruth Katz, David Kupperman, Maureen Kupperman, Chester Lampert, Minda Naomi Levy, Audrey Milgram Klein Bear, David Penner, Seal Leifer Prager, Jack M. Razavsky, Raymond Rittmaster, Meyer Rosentrader, Nathan Saltz, Jason Kip Weiner, Edith White, Stacy F. Yedlin. If you're joining us and you are observing Yortzeit or St. Kaddish for someone, thank you. And online you can type their names. Zichronam livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. Page 598. Itgadal v'itkadah shemei rabba, be'alema divra chirute ve'yamlich malchute, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דא אמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום
Shabbat Shalom. It's time for a few announcements. Our next Shabbat service will be on Friday, August 26th at 6:30 p.m. and we look forward to gathering then. We have a few things before then, of course. You're welcome to join us. Our poolside Haftarah this evening is at 5:30 at the J, and we will conclude both Shabbat and pretty much the summer. Seems like it's over, maybe not, but we're going to say it's over. We're going to say goodbye to the summer and move into the next season. Tomorrow is also the Rabbinical Association and the J and all the organizations' Community Day of Discovery. Registration has closed. However, you can show up at the J at, I think, about 9:30, something like that, a little early. Come at 9. And you can get into a class if there's, of course, if they're open.
There are some that are still open.
Yes. So.
We're both teaching.
We are, yes. At the same time.
At the same time. So
I can go to her session.
So we're watching. Just kidding. Just kidding. Completely different topics.
They have to do something with music, though.
They do both have to do with music. That is true.
Believe it or not, in a few weeks, we're going to have Rosh Hashanah, but this Wednesday, August 24th, from 10 to 12, is a pre-assembling of the Rosh Hashanah gifts. Let us know if you want to come and join us. You can look at the e-news for information how to RSVP. And very important, the Rosh Hashanah gift and high holidays are really around the corner. You can use the e-news, the website, and our app, all that's to register for our high holiday tickets, which this year, they are mostly electronic. But again, if you have any questions or any trouble with anything, call our office on Tuesday, and we have very, very helpful staff, and they will help you with anything you need. So that's all. We will conclude our time together this Shabbat morning on page 626 with En Keloheinu. If you're able, please stand and join us. I think, we're going to do the standing. En Keloheinu, En Kadoneinu, En Kemalkeinu, En Kemoshienu, En Keloheinu, כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו. מי כאלוהינו, מי כאדוננו, מי כמלכנו, מי כמושיענו. אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו. אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו. אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מלכנו, אתה הוא מושיענו. אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו. אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו. Shabbat Shalom. Join us for Kiddush and Amotzi here on the side.
Take care of each other out there.